Hi everyone, my name is Foday Bangura. I'm 17 and I am the National Vice President of Children's Forum Network, which is the child-led advocacy organization in the Republic of Sierra Leone. And in that capacity, I serve as like the Vice President of the whole children's populace of the Republic of Sierra Leone. And of course, over the last 5 years, I've been in this forum and I've learned through the process of engaging with my peers who are colleagues in the platform. And then I've gained a lot of knowledge and experience as well through some trainings I've been to organized by NGOs, even our forum, and of course also had the opportunity to have represented my peers in Sierra Leone outside of Sierra Leone for some time. So I've also had interaction with leaders around the world to also learn from them and their experience. That is basically who I am. Children are affected by climate change in diverse ways. It's so diverse that even studies have not even been able to prove all of them, because in several ways climate change affects our studies as children, and it affects, of course, our movement as children, and it also affects our psychological thinking, because of course we know there are several issues of course the rise in temperature, and for countries that are in most heated regions, for example like where I'm coming from in West Africa, the rise in temperature of the sun has increased to a point that during the daytime, of course, a lot of children will not want to walk around idly, except those that probably are going to school or are coming from school. But because of this effect, we know we used to have this opportunity to obviously walk around and play and have fun. But due to the increasing, devastating effect of the climate change, we have limited some of the things we do, even as much as the things that we do to play, because as children we need recreation to have fun and entertain ourselves. But due to all of these increased things, all of this increased temperature, we have not had this opportunity, and we've gotten these stops from our parents or from government or from public policies and legal frameworks that, of course, tries to protect us in a way, but also limits our opportunities to interact and grow as a child is supposed to grow. So what I would say about this is specifically, there have not been specific children's legislation on the environment, but what has happened is that the UN recently has adopted its UN General Comment 26. The comment is specifically number 26, and that comment is basically adopted because it is promoting children's environmental rights and also trying to amplify how children participate in co-creating the solutions for our environment today. It was recently launched on Monday, and of course the document is now being popularized for a lot of people, media, and of course children to read this document and get to learn about it. But of course, different countries have also made legislation, but they're not specifically for children. But there are some countries that have legislation around climate change and the environment. It is generalized, but I'm sure also if children read through, they can learn, and I'm sure they will be able to practice creating a climate solution for our environment. So of course, children we are the most vulnerable groups when it comes to vulnerability. So there are so many things that we might probably go through in such particular situation. For example, I would say psychosocially, for a fact, when children are limited to having opportunities they are used to have, of course, it shows the clear vulnerability that children's decision making is lacking, because there are things that you want to take decision, or you want to make decision, or maybe you grow up in a place wherein in a family wherein decision making is not inclusive, participatory by children, and they don't encourage children to contribute towards the decisions that are being made in the household, or even in the lives of the children. So it's one vulnerability, of course, that shows that affects children. And of course, what we can do to try to obviously solve that is to see how we can promote children's participation, because we know children's participation is a right. It's not just any kind of, it's a right that is stated in the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So that is to say, whatever that has to do with children they must be included in that particular process to making those decisions. That's one vulnerability children faces. Of course, in our schools as well, there are several vulnerabilities we face with regards to even accessing our schools, accessibility to our schools. This is one vulnerability. So I know there are several children that attend in schools that are very far. And of course, these are children that cannot afford even transportation. They cannot even afford transportation to access their schools. And we can't also forget that children with disabilities who also faces several vulnerabilities with regards to this same schooling, because their schools are not disability friendly. And if they are not disability friendly, it's very hard for children with disability to access these schools, resources and buildings and materials. So this is also another vulnerability that we should focus on as children. So one of the key things that is mostly trying to see how children's participation in the climate conversation is essential is because of the fact that, of course, children can co-create solutions towards these climate issues that we face in our planet today. For example, I can give an example. Leone here, the chairperson for the GCCS, is a child. She's 13, but she co-created an awareness-raising platform, which is the GCCS today. And now children's voices are being heard. Children's voices are being amplified. Even this is something also even the media today that is currently doing this interview is supporting, because you believe in this agenda, you believe in this initiative, and you believe that the voices of children must go. That is why you are here today. That is why you're supporting us, and that is why you're making sure that our voices go far. Of course, in as much as we are young and we are children, as stated, but we have a lot to contribute in raising awareness, in raising resources, of course, in also solutions. I can guarantee there was a girl in the GCCS today that spoke about what she's doing in terms of renewing plastic materials and making them into beads and other useful materials that we can use in our daily lives. So that tells you that children's voices matters, and not just our voices, but our action matters towards making sure we have a climate mitigative, adaptive, and of course a solution towards our crisis that we face today on issues of the environment. I think the impact, I can say it's so much. It's so much that as I said just earlier in the earlier question, because it's related. Children's voices and participation in this matter of climate change can raise a lot of resources and can mobilize these resources that we can use to make sure we create a greener world. And if children contribute towards making these resources, I can tell you, the GCCS is just a clear example. This GCCS was fundraised by children, myself, Eliane, and the other kids around the world that contributed. That tells you, and some adults listen, in as much as we had constraints and some backed out, but they listen, and then this is a solution that we've created, and this is an impact. Imagine the first ever child-led global children's climate summit. You know, it tells you the voices of children. It tells you how impactful children are ready to create a better world for ourselves and our future. Because I can tell you, the impact that we are doing today is not just for today, but the impact is something that will last forever. And it's something that other children are going to continue to do and to make sure we have a better world. That is the most impactful thing children want to do around the world, to make a better world for every one of us. Yeah. Thank you.